a building site on the Lincolnshire coast. A £25 million leisure development. Workers up against a tight deadline to catch the start of the season. The boardroom of the site's developers, Blue Anchor Leisure. All the trappings of success, model Ferraris and a couple of Queen's Awards for industry. But where is the chairman and chief executive? Well, actually, he's the man in the red coat. Multi-millionaire John Woodward is working on the site of Fantasy Island. When it's fully operational, it'll be the biggest development on the East Coast for nearly 60 years. Since last October, when demolition began, he's been at the controls of an army of workers transforming the seaside village in which he was born. Locals remember the young John as a likely lad.
The first time I saw John Woodward, he was sat on Sea Lane selling either mushrooms or blue stalks. He was like his uncles and mother, who was full of business. And of course, as you know, he still is. He didn't miss a lot, John didn't.
The leap from street vegetable vendor to millionaire really began in 1958, when he bought this patch of land from another entrepreneur in the leisure trade.
I'd just left school. I think I left school rather early, not getting on very well at school. And we had an opportunity to buy a piece of land off Billy Butlin, and which was down at the Anchor Lane corner. And we, in actual fact, purchased this piece of land, 7 acres, and it cost us £7,000, and that became Blue Anchor.
Within a year, he'd moved 30 caravans onto the small patch of grass, and now you can't move far on the Lincolnshire coast without passing a Blue Anchor sign. With more than 5,000 vans on 16 sites between Skegness and Mablethorpe, he's become one of the UK's biggest caravan dealers.
All your bags are £1, I'll sort them out where you like.
The next step up the ladder of fortune came with markets. The Eastgate Market in Inglemells pulled in more than 1 million visitors last year. It's the biggest 7-day market in Europe and boasts it has something for everyone, whatever their size. If it's wet, there are dodgy umbrellas.
Here, stolen goods at honest prices here today at Costamel Inglemells.
And if it's sunny, well, you can find a new pair of jeans. But the market's beginnings were a lot more modest.
We started in the market game some 14 years ago, and in those days it was only Sunday markets, which were of course run illegally because of the Sunday Shop Act. And we've had numerous tussles with not only the local authority but with the High Courts in trying to sort the rules out and bend the rules to continue in operation. With the company by now, by that time I had quite a lot of land spread up and down the coast. We was able to move from one piece of land to the other once the council caught up with us.
So with all these caravanners and shoppers pouring in, what did Inglemells have to offer for entertainment? Well, in summer, there's a beach. But out of season, it's more like this. So, last year, John Woodward set about providing some indoor entertainment, and first off the drawing board was Tiny Tots. The gala opening of the £500,000 development packed in the crowds, but much bigger was yet to come. For 3 years, he'd been visiting fairs, theme parks and other attractions around Britain and abroad. He'd been working on plans for a development as innovative as Butlin's first holiday camp, which came to Skegness 59 years previously. It's thousands of miles from Inglemells to Las Vegas, but it was that American city's Luxor hotel that grabbed his attention. Its theming of everything from bedroom furnishings to rides was just what he fancied back home. So he decided, let's build a pyramid in Inglemells. It would be striking and it would be weatherproof. for his tour had taught him that although the adverts look like this, the reality is often more like this. The job of coming up with a theme went to the firm who designed the Tiny Tots village.
It's a designer's dream in some ways, also a nightmare in others, because once you start to let your imagination go wild on it, basically, you obviously create yourself a lot of technical problems. We're having quite a lot of meetings with the engineers and the architects to make sure that what we design, we can do something on paper in a model that's very easy and looks fabulous. Actually physically building that and producing a structure that will support it can be quite difficult. And also, it's not just a film set, people have actually got to go in the buildings. So we came up with this idea of this lost island in the Bermuda Triangle, where lots of people have been shipwrecked over centuries. So we then can have a mixture of cultures. We can have magic, we can have fantasy, sea monsters, sea dragons, maybe bits of Jules Verne thrown in. So we have a complete mixture of architectural styles, an extremely sort of way out look to the place, but we feel it'll be very different.
While engineers weigh up loading levels and stress factors, Fantasy Island starts to take shape in miniature. All the buildings are shaped in clay, then the models sent to the site as guidance for the real builders.
We're building this for two purposes. First of all, it's actually a design tool that we can get the design right and we get the three-dimensional aspects. Secondly, it's then going to be a marketing tool that can show people what the project's going to look like before it's actually finished.
Meanwhile, down in Lincolnshire, just time for some last-minute touches to the artwork, and the Fantasy Island project is officially unveiled to the waiting media. Regional tourist officials are impressed.
We identified in a strategy produced 2 years ago the need for all-weather facilities, and this hits that mark precisely.
It's something that will attract people not only from the East Midlands area, but from the whole of the country, and I would think from all over Britain and maybe farther afield. It really is fantastic.
So now it's public, work can get underway, but hanging over everyone's head is the deadline. Opening day is just 7 months away.
It will be tight, there's no getting away from that. I'll get it done. Lots of people come here 1 week, and next week they come, they reckon Annika the rice has arrived.
A nearby farmer's field becomes an improvised landing strip for the man from Space Deck who'll build the pyramid on site. His main worry is the wind. Too much of it and the lift will have to be postponed, and that would be rather expensive as the world's biggest crane is wending its way to the coast, all 29 lorry loads at a cost of £75,000 a day.
If we miss the date of the lift, we miss the crane, because that crane is going off somewhere else and it's then going off for 5 weeks' work on another project. And so if we don't hit our date, we won't have a crane to lift, and we probably won't have a client to pay us any money.
Well, the weatherman says it can only get better. For the first time, but certainly not for the last, work goes on right round the clock. By morning, lift day -1, there is a new landmark on the Lincolnshire coast. Blue Peter have joined the rest of the media to record the biggest event in the history of Mellors. It's always been a bit flat around these parts, so for anyone with a head for heights, there's a good climb to the top and a wonderful, if windy, view of caravans. The crane takes the strain and all is ready for tomorrow morning's lift.
Well, the wind was actually borderline all the way through, which gave the crane driver obviously some concern, and we had to move as quickly as we could, but obviously slowly to keep it safe.
It's a landmark now. Once we've got it up, just get the roof on it. It's definitely a very important part of it because it's going to be the centrepiece when we've completed the project.
Top attraction inside the pyramid is likely to be the IMAX film ride. Described as a virtual reality simulator, it surrounds the audience with film while pitching and rolling them in all directions. It was developed by the team who made the Back to the Future ride for Universal Studios. And Mellors beat off European competition to obtain only the second machine in the world. The first is in Las Vegas.
It's kind of a heroic project in terms of what they're doing here. IMAX is very impressed with John Woodward's business attitude, his ability to deliver on his word, and it's just also the time scale that John works in. I use the word heroic, and that's a good word for what John's trying to achieve. In a very short period of time, they're leveling an area and rebuilding a mini Disney World.
But there's still a lot of work to do. joined by an American who's demonstrating thatching. He developed an all-weather aluminium thatch that's already in use on Disney parks.
It comes in sheets that are that have to be pulled apart, and once they're pulled apart, there's a solid tab at the top that is what is nailed or stapled into the roof, and then it's built up progressively in layers. And once it's built up, it looks like it's very realistic.
So realistic, in fact, that it convinced this starling that underneath the eaves was a very good place to nest. By March, the publicity machine is in top gear. Brochures are coming off the presses, the model has been completed, and Fantasy Island is about to be unveiled at the showcase of the British tourist industry, the British Travel Trade Fair at the NEC in Birmingham.
And it's all indoors.
Well, that's what's needed, I think, with our usual weather, isn't it?
And it's, if you like, it's totally different to anything that's been seen in Britain before.
Yes, absolutely.
And peeping through the crowd is the character helping put it on the tourist map.
It's the marketplace where you have to be seen, if you like, to present a new product to the industry. It's your way of developing forward, and we've also decided to pick today to officially launch one of the main central characters of Fantasy Island, which is going to be Captain Rhombus.
But there's plenty of competition about. Singing nuns are just one of many weapons in the frantic battle for publicity during the 2 days of the fair. So how do you compete with this? Well, Rhombus turns a few heads by mounting an assault on a much better established tourist emblem, the Jolly Fisherman from Skegness.
Something like Fantasy Island is very much a dream. It's in a person's mind, it's being built, it's coming together. But it's important for people to see that there is something real and realistic, and that's exactly what Captain Rhombus is able to do.
Back tropical look. To complement the pyramid, £100,000 worth of palm trees are being planted. They're imported from America by a company based in Bradford.
The foliage is a preserved foliage which is actually grown in parts of California. The natural juices, the sap is drained out. The preservative solution is then placed inside, along with an inherently flame retarded solution. So effectively the product then becomes embalmed.
With the new trees, the fantasy frontage is all but complete. But with only 3 weeks to go to opening, there's still plenty of work left to do. The mountain is taking shape under the pyramid, and outside, the rides are being erected. And a constant presence overseeing everything is the boss.
Can't help it, not my problem. Finish it.
It makes a hell of a difference. The men see me as I am, not as somebody above them. In certain cases, I work with them if it's necessary to speed the project along. And they know I'm around, they know my car's there. In other words, the boss is here, he's with us, he's working with us, and it speeds it along no end. I get on well with the lads, and that's the attitude I like to keep with them.
You can blank both them off, they're extinct. They'll still take water, but it doesn't go anywhere.
He's now on site 24 hours a day.
25. Eat and sleep, Fantasy Island. It's so involved now and so complicated. You get letdowns and interferences and delays with different people. It's inevitable that you get this situation. Whatever project we do, we find these last 3 or 4 weeks are a pain.
1 month to go, but the first customers are due tomorrow, inside a nightclub that looks far from ready. But 24 hours later, everything is all right on the night.
Get a load in, then you get it shifted then.
3 weeks to go, and surely this will never be finished. By now, the workers are on site at 6 in the morning, but the last things on John Woodward's mind are worries about not getting the job completed.
No, I'm already planning my next project now. Yeah. This one's finished as far as I'm concerned now. I can see the end of it. And I shall be here for a further month after the opening, and then I'll take 3 weeks holiday and then come back and let rip into what I'm going to do next year, I suppose.
11 days to go. Blue Anchors say they're sticking to the opening date, but admit not everything will be ready. However, the first shops have opened for business, and the first takeaway.
The hot mushy peas, fresh seafood.
The main rides are taking shape on what still looks suspiciously like a building site, but Fantasy Island is in royal mood today. The Duke of Gloucester is paying a visit and has a quick tour of the site before meeting some of the men behind the project. But the man behind it all isn't in the lineup for handshakes. He's too busy out on site.
Well, it certainly seems to have been approached with a great deal of enthusiasm. And there seems to be an awful lot of things going on, and I presume a great deal of thought has been put into how it's run.
Love people appreciating it and saying, you know, how brilliant it is, and you know, I'm looking forward to when it's all operational and at night time when all the lights are on and the music's there, to say that's something that I've created, and it'll be there for a long, long time.